This
Good
call is
morning,
now
sir.
being recorded.
Yeah. Today we'll see familiar topic called sets and other operations on sets. Basically, I think you might have learnt about these sets in your school education, if I'm not wrong. Yes? Are you familiar with the sets?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it is like first half will be brushing up all the fundamentals which are related to sets. Then we'll see set operations. Okay. If you forgot anything, you can recall all those things by referring to these slides. Okay. First of all, basically, what is the definition of set? We can define in one way like set is any well-defined collection of objects. Okay, objects are elements, we can say. So what is meant by well defined? Well defined in the sense whether that one particular element is present in that set or not, we could able to say definitely. Okay, deterministically we could able to say one element is present in that set or not. That is that property we call it as well defined. Let us say we have formed fruits set. Okay, fruits as one set. If one particular vegetable or fruit is given to you, whether that belongs to the fruit set or not, you could able to say deterministically. Then we can say that as set. That such kind of property we call it as well-defined collection. Got it? Yes. Okay, ma.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Yeah. Next, whatever the elements or the members that we will be having in the set, those are nothing but the objects which are contained in the set. Okay, the second point, elements are members of a set are the objects contained in the set. And as we have discussed, well defined in the sense it is possible to decide, in the sense deterministically we could able to say whether that object belongs to the set or not, that is collection or not. Okay, next, how we will denote this set? In the sense, we will denote this set by using curly braces. Okay, whatever the objects enclosed within curly braces, separated by comma, we call it as set. We will use this notation to represent set. Okay, so now mm, next, in general, set labels we denote with capital letters. Capital A, capital B, capital C, capital S, capital U, like this. Capital letters we will use to denote set. Next, whatever the set elements we will be having, that is inside capital A, let us say capital A is set, inside this capital, inside this set A, whatever the elements we will be having, those we will denote with small letters in general. Okay, these, if you wanted to represent in the form of letters, we will use small letters. But if set contains only numbers, then you can denote like this 1, 2, 3, which are enclosed within curly braces. If you wanted to denote capital what you call letters as a set element, then we should use small letters in general. Okay, there is no compulsion to use only capital letters or small letters, but this is general practice. But in general, for set variables, okay, for sets we will use capital letters. That is almost like a compulsion only. But for variables we can use anything. Okay, whatever the elements we have, those we can have in any manner, like numbers we can have, or even capital letters also part of the set, but these can be enclosed within single quotes. So like that, we can give some distinction. But in general, set letters will be denoted by capital uppercase letters. Okay. Next, this pi is nothing but empty set. That means a set which does not contain any elements. Okay, it is nothing but like this. Usually, what is the set notation? Curly braces. If you don't have any elements in it, that we can denote like this. Okay, instead of using some set variable a, b, c, we can use this pi, which will denote empty set. Okay, next coming to this another notation, which will denote the membership, which we call it as belongs to in general, but formally we can say is an element of. We can say like small a is an element of capital A. What does it mean? A is the element which belongs to the set capital A. So formally we will say it as is an element of. This belongs to, we can say it as A belongs to A means A is an element of A. Suppose B, you consider B belongs to capital B. What does it mean? B is an element of capital vertical the set capital B. Now we can say B is does not belongs to capital A. What does it mean? B is not an element of set A. Okay, these are pure fundamentals that already you might have known. Okay, so this is about membership, and here there is an example. A is 1357, then 1 belongs to A, but 2 is not an element of capital A. Is it clear? Yes. Yes, ma. Is it clear, ma? Okay. Next, specifying sets with their properties. That means one particular set may contain certain elements which will satisfy vertical specified property. Like you consider capital A, which contains elements where every element will be can be a prime number. See here, the notation that we will use is A is equal to A small a, such that this symbol is to denote such that. Okay, you call it as such that. Okay, another equivalent notation is this can be written as like this curly braces A, then colon, we can use colon, then the condition. Okay, what does it mean? A is one particular element which will satisfy. What is the constraint for A that we will write here? Like A is prime. A is prime. So that is the constraint. So whatever the prime numbers that we will be having, those all will be part of this set. Similarly, here also, instead of this colon, what we have used pipe symbol. This we call it as such that symbol. So A such that A is prime number. Okay, so what capital A will contain? It is a set of all the prime numbers. Like that, we can say A such that A is odd number. A such that A is even number. A such that A is a composite number. Like that, we can specify the property of set elements by using this kind of notation. What is the notation? A such that is the element such that what is the property to be satisfied with respect to that element, that we will denote like this. Okay, next the above notation translate to the set A is comprised of elements A where A satisfies this particular condition. If you consider this as a prime number, what does it mean? The set A contains is comprised of elements A where A satisfies prime number property. Okay, like that we can use this particular notation. There are several examples. These are well-known examples. Of course, you might be knowing Z is to denote positive integers. N is to indicate natural numbers which include 0 as well. Next, capital Z is to, as we have seen, it is nothing but integers, okay, which includes both the positive and negative integers. Next, Q is to denote rational numbers. Like that, capital R is to denote real numbers. Okay, fine. Our concentration is not on these symbols actually, about these sets. Okay, this notation. See here, x such that x is a positive integer. This is the constraint. So z plus is the set which contains the integers which are positive. That's a constraint. Next, similarly, you consider um, n, okay, which include all the positive integers as well as 0. So whichever the elements which will satisfy this particular condition will be part of this set capital N. Similarly, Z, Q, all these things will come under. I hope you know it. That's why I'm not going in detail. Right? If you have any doubt, you can pause me and ask. Yeah. Next, consider these are some well-known sets that we have in programming languages. In you consider in C language, I think you might have completed C language or some programming language in previous semesters, right? So in that you might have encountered integer variable, float variable, enumeration variable, unsigned integer. Like this, we are having several sets, well-defined sets. What are the possible values? What are the elements of this particular set? You tell what are the elements of integer set? Ma? Integer is one set, let's say. Then what are the elements of integer?
All the integers.
All the integers. With respect to C programming language, you tell?
Positive integers.
No, not positive integer. It's like integer will be having certain limit, like minus 32,767 to plus 32,767, like that one range will be there. Don't you know? Yes or no? Yes?
Yes, sir, there would be range.
Yeah. So that range, it depends upon the number of bits that that are allocated by the compiler. Like integer occupies, let's say, 16 bits, then automatically it will be like minus 2 power 16 something 2 plus 2 power 16, like that. Similarly, if integer occupies 32 bits, that is 4 bytes, then automatically minus 32 minus 2 power 32 2 plus 2 power 32, like that it will be one or more what you call one difference will be there. That why that one difference and all, that is a different story. But basically integer will contain both positive integers and negative integers, as the range itself indicating minus 2 power 32 to plus 2 power 32. What does it mean is simply I will give one just one point as an idea. Like you consider how many bits will be allocated for integer in general. 32 bits. Okay, out of these 32, 31 will be allocated for storing the magnitude. This is for magnitude. Okay, 1 bit we will use for sign. Okay, sign in the sense whether the number is positive number or negative number. Okay, so now this bit, if it is set to 0, what does it mean? It is a positive number. If this bit is set to 1, then whatever the number we have, that will be negative number. So automatically, instead of minus 2 power 32, what will be the possible values? Minus 2 power 31. Why? Because one bit is already reserved for sign, that is not used to store the magnitude. So remaining 31 bits only we will use to store the magnitude. Got my point? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, you consider unsigned integer. What does it mean? There is no sign for a number. Like you consider, I have written 3215. 3215. Whether it is positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive number. So If there is no sign, by default, those are positive numbers. Now the point is, if there is no need to mention any sign, if there is no need to mention any sign, what does it mean? It will, we can use all 32 bits to store magnitude itself. Instead of reserving 1 bit for sign, we no need to reserve, right? Why? Because whatever the numbers we have, those all are positive numbers. That is declared. So this bit also we can use to store the magnitude itself. So what will be the range? Now you tell. Hmm.
minus 2 power 32 to 2 power plus 2 power 32.
But there is one more basic thing, right? All numbers are positive numbers. So minus 2 power, in a sense, there will be sign, right? There's no need to
Yes,
use
sir.
sign. That's why it will be like all zeros we can store. That will be the minimum value, and all ones we can store. That will be the maximum value. Minimum value will be all zeros. So the magnitude will be 0, and the maximum value will be all ones. That is nothing but 2 power 32 minus 1. This is the range, 2 power 32 minus 1. Like you consider just 4 bits are there. What is the maximum number that we can store in 4 bits? Hmm? All ones, right? Yes sir. All ones. This is the maximum number. What is the equivalent decimal value for this? 15. Yeah. So 15. How many bits we have? 4 bits. It is nothing but 2 power 4 minus 1. 2 power 4 is 16 minus 1, that is 15. Similarly, here 32 bits are there, so 2 power 32 minus 1. Okay. Okay. Anyway, it is not of this context. As it came, we have discussed. Okay. Now you consider programming language. There are several sets, predefined or well-defined sets. Here we are having float, in the sense some number of bytes will be allocated for this float. Accordingly, the range will be there. So whatever the float values which come under that particular range will be part of this set. Similarly, enumeration as well. Okay, like this, these are what you call well-known sets we can consider. These are examples. Yeah. Next, coming to subset. If you have any doubt in this, even though it is not relevant to the context, you can ask me, no problem. Yes, any doubts? Okay.
No, sir, it's clear.
Okay. It's not about with respect to sets I'm asking. I'm asking about even with respect to programming, if you have any what you call clarifications, if you want, then you can ask. Okay. Yeah. Next, coming to the concept called subset. As the name itself indicating that one set, there will be two sets, A and B, and there exist some elements in A and some elements in B. Okay, and now if all the elements of B are part of all the elements of A, that is all the elements, if you consider any element in B, if it is also belongs to A, then we can say B is subset of A. Okay, that we will denote with this symbol. Subset are equal to, this is the symbol. So B is subset of A. This is the symbol. Let us say let us denote this with a Venn diagram. A is this particular set, and B is like this. Now B is subset of A or not? Why? Because any element, yes, it is any element, if you consider, that will be part of B as well as A. So we can say B is subset of A. Now how we will denote this? B is subset equal to. Now I will draw another one. Now this is B, this is A. Now this condition is holds or not? B is subset or equal to A?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now you consider like this. A is one set, B is another set. Now,
No, sir, it's not subset.
yeah. Next, you consider A and you consider B as well. Okay. Now A is this set and B is this set. Now this one is satisfied or not? B
Yes, sir.
subset or equal to yes. And now you consider this notation. B is the subset of A. What does it mean? Here there is no equal to sign. Okay. Earlier we were having this symbol, that is equal to sign is there. In addition to subset, we are having equal to. That means even though A and B are same sets, equal sets, this condition holds. Yes or no? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But if A and B are equal, whether this is true, B is subset of A, B is subset of A. Although A and B are same sets, this condition is false. Why? Because this condition. Why? Because A is the superset of B. That is the indication. I will give one clue that here two ends are there at A side. We are having two ends, so A is bigger. A is superset. B side only one end is there, so we can say B is subset. So B is subset of A, and we don't have equal to sign here. What does it mean is B is proper subset of capital A. Set B is proper subset of A. Understand my point? I'll give an example. Let us say A is equal to 1, 2, 3. What are the subsets? You please tell. What can be the subsets of set capital A is equal to 1, 2, 3? What are the possible? Yeah, tell me.
1 comma, 2 comma,
3,
3 comma, 1 2, 1 3, 1 2 3, 2 3, and 5.
Yeah. So empty set is always a subset of any set, and including that one will be the subset like this, right? Next 2. Next 3 individual elements we have completed. Next 2 elements we can consider. 1 2 is one subset, 2 3 is another subset. Like this 1 3 we will be having. At last we will be having 1 2 3 as well. Yes or no? A set is a subset of itself. Yes or no? Yes, 1 2 3 is subset of 1 2 3 itself. Yes or no? So this condition holds. But what is meant by proper subset is excluding this particular set, excluding itself, whatever the subsets we have, those we consider as proper subsets. Like empty set will be proper subset. 1 will be proper subset. 2 will be proper subset. Why? Because there exists what you call another element which is not part of this subset. Then we can say such kind of subset as proper subset. At least one element should not belongs to the subset. Then we can say such kind of subset as proper subset. Or in other words, we can say all the subsets excluding the set itself. We call it as set of proper subsets. Got it? Yes? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now let us discuss like we are having 3 elements. How many subsets are there for capital A? For the set A, how many subsets will be present?
8.
8. Suppose let us say A is equal to, that is capital A is equal to 5 6 7 9. Okay, please note down capital A is equal to 5, 6, 7, 9. Now, what are the possible subsets? You please write down and tell. Capital A is equal to 5, 6, 7, 9. Now, what are the possible subsets? As we have discussed, empty set is, that is pi is always a subset of any set. So pi, then
5,
5,
6,
hmm,
7,
hmm,
9,
yeah,
5, 6, 5, 7, 5, 9,
hmm,
6, 7, 6, 9,
hmm, 7,
and
9.
7, 9,
Hmm.
and 5, 6, 7, 9.
Even 5, 6, 7 also subset, right?
Yes,
As
sir.
we are having 4 elements, 3 subsets also, 3 element subsets also we have to consider. So 5, 6, 7 will be part, then 5, 7, 9 also part, isn't it? Yes, now you please write down and count and tell how many subsets you have got.
Total 16 will be there, sir.
Yeah, total 16 subsets will be there. So how many elements we are having in the set?
4,
4 elements. And in the previous example, how many elements we were having?
3,
3 elements. How many subsets? Total subsets?
8,
8.
8.
So now there is one uh, very important what you call term in set theory is power set. Power set. What is the power set? Is it is a set which contains subsets, all the subsets of the given set. Suppose let us say A is the set. Then power set we will denote with P of A, P of capital A. Okay, this is the power set, and which will contain, as this is also set, as we are saying power set, this is also a set which will contain subsets of this set as elements. I'm repeating once again. Given a set A, what is the power set of that set is? It is a set which contains all the subsets of the given set, including itself. So, what is the cardinality of this power set? Cardinality in the sense number of elements in this set. What is the cardinality of capital A? You please tell.
3,
3. Similarly, what is the cardinality of P of A?
8,
8. So, what is the cardinality of power set is 2 power
n.
2 power n. What is n? Number of elements in the given set. Given a set with n numbers, power set cardinality will be 2 power n. What is power set? Is set of all the possible sets of the given, possible subsets of the given set. That is called power set. Okay, now let us see these all things in the slides. This is a subset notation, and if B is not belongs to the, like you consider A is this and this is B. Now, can we say B is subset are equal to A?
No, sir.
No. So, how we will denote is it is not subset are equal to A. Okay. In general, we will think that as B is B is not subset are equal to A, we will think that A is here, B is here. That's why B is not subset are equal to A. Like that we will think. But there can be some common elements for A and B. Still, B is subset, not subset are equal to A. Why? Because if there exists at least one element of B which is not belongs to A, that is sufficient to claim that B is not subset are equal to A. In that sense, it can contain intersection. But still, this condition is holds. Like B is not subset are equal to A. Got my point? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is to denote subset are equal to, and this will denote not subset are equal to. And as we have seen, subset, just this subset, what it will indicate? Proper subset, you can say. Proper subset. What is meant by proper subset? What is meant by proper subset?
It contains each and every subset of given set.
One more time.
It
Power set is
contains
that. Power set is that. Subset not including itself. Okay. If a subset is not equivalent to the given set, then we can say that kind of set as proper subset. Okay. Next, these are some of the examples for subsets, like vowels are subset of alphabet. Next, letters that spell C, S double E. What are the letters that we need to spell this particular one? Letters that spell C. What are the letters that we require to spell C?
S and D.
S and E. So this is nothing but this set. Similarly, YES. So the three are what you call distinct. So Y comma E comma S. That is the set. So these are part of like you consider letters that spell YES. So S comma E subset are equal to Y comma E comma S. Like this we can say. Similarly, you consider positive integers are subset are equal to integers. Next, odd integers are subset are equal to integers. Next, integers are subset are equal to floating point values. Like this, we can have some examples. Next, coming to notation by using Venn diagram. Already we have seen. Just we will recall once. A is subset are equal to B. So entire A should be contained in B. And we have seen another one as well. That is same set we are having as A and B. Then also this condition holds. Yes or no? Yes. A and B are same sets. Then also we can say A is subset are equal to B. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now you consider when we can say A is not subset are equal to B. In general, we will think like this. A is not subset are equal to B. But there can be another possibility that A and B can have some intersection. Still, A is not subset are equal to B. Why? Because there exists at least one element, let us say X, which is belongs to A but does not belongs to B. So we cannot say A is subset of B. That's the example. Next, coming to other examples like A belongs to A, B belongs to B, and C belongs to what? C belongs to A intersection B. As of now, you can remember, understand like C belongs to A as well as C belongs to B. But as you know, there is one operation called intersection, which will give the common elements from given sets A and B. So C is nothing but part of the A intersection B, and we will denote with this symbol A intersection B. Okay. Next, if you have any doubt, you can pause me and ask me. Because as these all are well known to you, I'm not spending much time. Even some people will get bored if they know it very well. Yeah. See here. Next, some theorems like A is subset are equal to B and B is subset are equal to C. Then we can say A is also subset are equal to C. That means you can see some of the examples like you consider A is subset are equal to B in the sense we are having A and B like this. Next, B is subset are equal to C. This particular B is subset are equal to C. So this entire thing is contained in C. This is C, this is B, and this is A. Then what we can say, A is also contained in C. That's what the relationship. in other vertical context, this can be considered as a transitive property. Suppose you are known to me and your friend is known to you, then I can be I can know your friend, like that. Such kind of relationship, we can say it as a transitive relation, and with respect to sets we can denote like this. Yeah, and example here is A, which contains elements which we use to spell C, that are E comma S. Next, for S, E S Y. For easy, we are having A E S Y. Okay, fine. Now, if you consider A is subset of B, yes or no? E comma S are part of B. Next, B is subset of C. Why? Because E S Y is part of is contained in C. So A is also contained in C. That's what the deduction. Yeah. Next, another theorem is if A is subset or equal to B and C is subset or equal to B. A is subset of B and C is also subset of B, then we cannot say anything vertical about A and C relation. You consider there exists one set called A, which is a subset of B. Next, there exists another set called C, which is a subset of B. Now we can have like this: A and B, A and C, we can have as independent sets. Okay, where there is no intersection at all. We can have like this as well. C can be like this, or in other relation like A is part of B, but internally A contains C as well. This is also one of the possibilities. So here you can say whenever A is subset of B and C is subset of B, then we cannot say any relationship between A and C. Okay, these are the examples. Here you can see in this first example, is A is subset of B or not? In the first Venn diagram.
Yes, sir.
Yes. C is subset of B? Yes. But is there any relation between A and C? No.
No.
Next, you consider second example. Here also A is subset of B and C is also subset of B, but there can be some intersection between A and C. This is a second possibility. Next, third possibility is like A is subset of B. That condition is true. C is also subset of B, but here C entirely contained in A. This is third possibility. So these three possibilities are true for these two conditions. Okay, in all these three possibilities, these two conditions are satisfied. So here if you consider first case, A and C are not having any intersection. Here A and C are having some intersection. Here C is contained entirely in A. So three possibilities satisfies these two conditions. So what we can conclude is we cannot deterministically say this is the relation between A and C whenever even all these two conditions satisfied. That is the conclusion. Got it? Yes. Yes. Is there any vertical confusion, ma? Shall I repeat? Okay. Now next, another one is, as we have discussed, A is subset of itself. That is, any set is subset of itself. Next, pi is also subset of any set. So pi belongs to pi vertical subset of capital A is always true. And another theorem is A is subset of B and B is subset of A. When it is possible, A is subset of B, B is subset of A, then we can say A and B are equal. Okay, this is another theorem. I think you can understand. A is subset of B in the sense we can write like this, but this is not true for second condition. So how we have to write like this? B will be there, then A will be here, like this. But whenever these two are vertical, these two conditions are true, then definitely A and B should be same. Then only these two conditions will be satisfied. Got it? Next, universal set which contains all the sets. That is universal set, and we will denote with in general U. I think it is known to you. And in Venn diagram, we will use rectangle to denote universal set. Okay. Next, yeah, this is the universal set. Here we are having the set capital A. And if there exists another set called B, that is also part of universal set. Any set you consider S as any set, it will be subset of universal set U. Okay. Any set, yeah, here there is a statement. Any set is a subset of universal set from which it derives. Okay. Next, there exist several terms like finite set, infinite set. Finite set in the sense the name itself indicating we will be having certain number of elements definitely. That is called finite set. Now, let us consider the previous example where I have given set like 5, 6, 7, 9. How many elements are there? 5, 6, 7, 9. How many elements are there in the set?
4.
4, sir.
4 elements. So we could able to say how many elements are there. So we can say that as finite set. Now you will get you could get one doubt that what is infinite set. For any set we could able to count and say that, right? So why infinite set is there is just you consider positive integers. Positive integers starts from 1. So 1, 2, 3, so on. Up to what extent we will be having numbers? Is there any range?
No range.
Infinite.
Infinite.
So we cannot say these many number of elements. Such kind of sets we can say it as infinite set. Next, you consider in general, even though the space is what you call, okay, you consider float numbers. 1 to 2 will be having float, whatever the float numbers we have, that we have to count. Can you able to say how many numbers will be having, how many real numbers will be having from 1 to 2? Just 1 to 2. Like 1.0, 1.01, 1.02, 1.03, like this. How many elements will be there from 1 to 2? How many real numbers will be there from 1 to 2? Can we able to say?
No, sir. No, sir.
No. Why? Because it can be like 1.01, 1.011, 1.012, 1.013. Like this we can count, and you can extend it for next digits as well. Like that, you can go up to any number of elements. So we cannot count it. So such kind of set we can say it as infinite set. Next, coming this notation we have seen already in previous classes. Like whenever we use two pipe symbols, that we will use to denote cardinality or the size of the set. So if I give A is equal to 5, 6, 7, 9, then and mod A I will give. Okay, this we will call it as mod A. And what does it mean? It is nothing but the cardinality. That is the number of elements in the set. Clear? Yes.
Yes, so clear.
Yeah. Next, the power set, as we have seen earlier, power set is nothing but set of all the subsets of A, including pi, and we denote with P of A. So, how many elements we will be having in power set? How many elements we will be having in power set? If the number of elements are n in the given set, then power set will contain 2 power n.
N.
It is very, very important point, man. 2 power set, the number of elements in power set will be 2 power n. Why? Because power set is having lot of applications. That's why this particular number is also important. Okay. Next, we'll see what are the operations that we have with respect to sets. See, operations on sets, we will be performing certain operation in order to produce between two sets, and we will produce another set. Okay, you consider union operation. This is known to you, I think. Yeah, A union B, which is nothing but it contains all the elements which belongs to either A or B. Okay, if an element is contained in both A and B, will it be part of A union B or not?
Yes, sir. It will be a part of a union.
Yes, but how many times we will be having in that A union B, that element? Suppose,
Only once.
yeah, only once. Yeah. Now you consider the notation A union B is nothing but X such that either X belongs to A or X belongs to B. Example is ABC, EF is capital A, capital B is B, D, R, S. Then A union B will contain A, B. Although B is contained in both these sets, B will be part of this A union B only once. In general, set will not contain duplicate elements. This is very important point now. Set will not contain any duplicate elements. Okay, this is in general, but there can be some sets which will allow multiple occurrences of same element. Such kind of set we call it as multi-set. Okay, as of now, just you know up to this. In general, we will not be having any duplicates in sets, duplicate elements in set. But if there exist multiple elements, multiple times the same element, then we can say such kind of set is as multi-set. At least one element is repeated, then also we will consider as multi-set. Okay, now A union B is multi-set or not? Now you answer this. Whether A union B is multi-set or not. Are we having any duplicate elements?
Also.
No. So it is not a multi-set. But there can be some applications where we need to keep multiple times, although same element, we need to keep multiple times. So such kind of in such kind of context, we will use multi-set. Okay. Leave about multi-set as of now. Just you consider set contains distinct elements. Yeah, this is the Venn diagram notation. A is one set, B is one set. A union B in the sense whatever the elements belongs to A and whatever the elements belongs to B. Of course, elements belongs to A means these will also be considered, and elements belongs to B means these will also be considered. So as we have seen, distinct elements only will be having. So these elements will be present in the A union B only once. That's it. Next, coming to intersection, this is nothing but common elements from both these sets. A is ABCF, B is BFRS, then C is this. A intersection B will be common elements in A and B. A intersection C, common elements in A and C. Similarly, B intersection C, if you consider B and C, there are no common elements, so it is empty set. Like this, we can have another operation called intersection. Next, from this intersection, we can classify the sets as whether those are disjoint or not disjoint. Like if A intersection B is empty, then we can say those two sets as disjoint sets. This we have seen already in the previous classes. Yes or no? Disjoint sets. Yes, in the context of what we have seen? Disjoint. In the context of which concept we have seen disjoint sets?
For subsets.
Subsets. Any other? One particular graph class, while discussing one particular graph class, we have seen disjoint independent sets. What is that graph class? So at least one answer if I receive, I'll be happy. Yeah. Disjoint subsets. Shall I give one clue like
without any intersection.
Without any intersection, that's the definition. In which graph class we have seen that?
Isolated graph.
No. Like we'll be having a vertex at V partition into very good, bipartite graph V1 and V2. It will be divided into V1 and V2, where V1 and V2 are disjoint independent sets, and every edge will be having one end vertex in one partite set, another end vertex in another partite set. Then we can say such kind of graph as bipartite graph, isn't it? Yeah. Now, if there exists some intersection, then we can say those are not disjoint. Okay, and multiple sets. Okay, this we will see in the next class. It's already 10:23. Okay, fine. You can enter your rule number in the chat box and can leave. And one point, last point, you will be having this quiz as one of the evaluation components in the next week. When it will be, I will intimate, but please be prepared to write some quiz, okay, which contains maybe 10 questions.